Oh, yeah, that's new. I didn't see that go up. Oh. God damn. James Corden. Yeah, all right. We got to check in with our boy James Corden.
James Corden has slowly developed one of the worst reputations in media history.
You're goddamn right.
The foundation for his decline began when people started to realize that James Corden was a completely different person when he wasn't on camera.
That's not even where I started hating him. It was almost immediately. He has never even remotely come close to putting a smile on my face, and yet he is in everything. He is in everything, everywhere. It's miserable.
As an actor and the main host of The Late Late Show, James presents as a happy, polite, easygoing comedian whose goal is to simply make the audience laugh. Although there's a mountain of evidence
very unsuccessfully.
In private life, he's the exact opposite to this, with his rude nature developing after he first became famous back in 2008. As a result of his excellent performance on a British TV show called Gavin and Stacey, James would win the British equivalent of an Oscar, although accompanying this award was an ego boost that began to get out of control.
You can start to think you're perhaps a bit more of a dude than you really are. And that very much happened to me. You know, I had a swagger in my walk.
As mentioned, James Corden's sudden explosion into fame led him to believe that he was more of a than he really was, which would eventually translate into him treating everyone around him like garbage. James explained that as 2008 wore on, it got so bad I was being rude to my agent, and I even started being rude to Ruth. If I was in company and the conversation wasn't revolving around me, I would just switch off. In addition to being rude to...
Not surprised. Also, again, not the reason I can't stand this guy. Don't know who Ruth is, though. She probably didn't deserve it. Justice for Ruth. Unlucky.
Everyone around him, Corden began to live a typically irresponsible, newly famous lifestyle.
I'd started going out quite a lot. This door had opened to this world that I thought looked like fun, where people go, you're amazing, you're great, can I have a photo? Do you want a drink? Come out with us. And so you just end up on this path of just 3 a.m. cab rides with people you don't know, heading across London to someone's house who you don't know either, with a group of people.
That just sounds dangerous.
It's amazing that you're there. This is an intoxicating thing to be part of.
All of which being noticed by another Gavin and Stacey actor, Rob Brydon, who explained that when he first met James Corden 6 years prior, he was very impressed by him, yet after winning the Oscar award, James Corden was on a roller coaster. This boy from High Wycombe, and he's suddenly enjoying the fruits of his success, and he just lost his way for a bit. He was burning the candle at both ends and becoming ratty and irritable.
I never even knew all this about him.
His streak of irresponsibility came to an end after attending 18 months of therapy, although even after this, there were still countless examples of him treating people like garbage. For example, James Corden stated in a BBC4 interview that he needed to bully his way to the top of the media world, which can be observed in certain events such as the time they get into a public argument with another incredibly respected actor, Patrick Stewart, whilst on stage.
When the presenters are up here and when the recipients are receiving their awards,
hide your belly or something.
Back of the stage,
that's what he says.
Hands in your pockets, looking around as though you wished you were anywhere but here.
Oh, you couldn't be more wrong, sir. And if it looked like that, I'm so sorry. But when you come up and present an award, just get on with it.
After Patrick Stewart would confront James about looking
it was really uncomfortable.
The argument would escalate in front of everyone.
Sorry, I'm waiting for the punchline. Go on. No, seriously, go on.
Okay.
No, go on. You can see my belly, and we can all see you dying right now. Let's go for it. Here we go.
Which was concluded by James and Patrick bickering in the background while someone else.
So I will say Patrick Stewart doesn't look really good there either. I don't know how many of you have seen that. Patrick Stewart also didn't come out looking like amazing. But per usual, it's James Corden that looks worse. Just an insufferable, unlikable, unenjoyable asshole that somehow is everywhere like this goddamn parasite. I don't know how he's infested everything in Hollywood, but it really feels like he has a minor role in every single movie. He's in shows. He's got the worst late night television program of all time, but thank God that's coming to an end. Like, it just blows my mind. I've never met someone who is a James Corden fan ever in my life. So I don't know where his success is even coming from. I've also never been asked if I like James Corden. Yeah, because it's just an assumed no. No one ever defends him when he gets dunked online. No one ever says, man, anyone see that new James Corden bit? What a banger. It's just all bad. I never knew he was a jerk. I mean, I didn't either, to be fair. Like, that's honestly like the least of his problems. He's just so unlikable, like as an actor, as a host. He doesn't make me laugh or anybody laugh. So him being an asshole is just a cherry on top. Thanks, Resub Killer Elite and the bits, Tommy.
Else was talking on the microphone. Now, to cut James some slack, Patrick Stewart was probably in the wrong here, considering he was the person who began the argument. Interestingly, after James Corden gave him a very favourable introduction.
What was really confusing about it was I gave him like a massive intro.
Yeah, I know.
I said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome an actor who's held in such high esteem. Please welcome the brilliant Sir Patrick Stewart. And then he...
Yeah, like I said, Patrick didn't
Although
look good
James
here.
still decided to engage and clap back with a few jabs of his own, so it's safe to say that he also had some degree of responsibility. There are other examples of similar situations where James has acted rudely, however, only after being provoked by someone else first. Countless paparazzi videos show James walking through Los Angeles looking quite angry and disinterested, although having a camera involuntarily shoved
Well, yeah, everyone hates the
probably doesn't
paparazzi,
facilitate
obviously.
the best environment for a good mood. There was also the time when Ant and Dec played a prank on James Corden, attempting to make him late for work, although considering they were literally going out of their way to make him angry, James probably gets another pass here. However, when James Corden would post one of the most brutal Reddit Ask Me Anythings in internet
he did an AMA?
fan interactions were highlighted, which James had absolutely no excuse for. Hey James, you won't remember me, but me and my friend sat at a table next to you and Harry Styles plus some others in Manchurian Legends in London's Chinatown about 6 years ago. We didn't bother you, but you were a massively entitled dick who yelled and treated the wait staff like shit, and when one of my party politely suggested you calm down, you got really aggressive and threatening. So my question is this: why did Harry seem so cool while you were such a massive throbbing bellend? This post was followed by another which read, I went to a James Corden live recording a while back.
Again, it is Reddit. This is like a source trust me bro situation, or that happened shit. Like, there's no way to corroborate that. But I also wouldn't be surprised if that's a legitimate story, right? Like, I could see it. I could absolutely see it. But it is, again, like, anecdotal. No way of knowing for sure. Thanks for some CMD. ID, Gandalf, and the Prime Coldfire. Even the James Corden subreddit hates him. Well, that was started to insult him. Like that. It was never like a James Corden fan subreddit.
He had nearly zero interaction with the audience before/after the show and was on his phone entirely during commercial breaks. I guess that's his prerogative. He may have been having a bad day. I also realize it must be difficult to be on all the time, but I remember being extremely disappointed. By comparison, I've been to a Jimmy Fallon recording and a Letterman recording, and I can say with full conviction that those guys really seem like they cared about their audience and worked their hardest to entertain them, even while the cameras weren't recording.
Fair,
which
I guess.
is followed by one final anecdote reading, massive dick in person. I saw a League of Their Own filming live. Through multiple tantrums over minor things at the production staff, with him being incredibly rude to them, which made the other regulars seem very awkward like it was usual. Between each take, the other celebs would be chatting amongst themselves, bantering about. James was glued to his phone. At the end of the filming, people got up to go get pictures with James, and he massively kept off shouting at people to go away and go back to their seats. And the few he did let have pictures
James
with
Corden
him
pictures?
Seeing him like that made me realize everything you see of his on TV is a complete persona. When continuing on through the AMA, it becomes pretty obvious as to why James Corden only answered 3 different questions before calling it quits. Why are you, James, such a deeply unpleasant person? Did your parents raise you that way? Have you ever considered being funny or likable? James, are you aware that everyone thinks you're a hack and a talentless asshat? With his third comment here relating to the next reason behind James Corden's decline. Many of his on-screen performances have simply...
Let's go, yep.
A petition
It was a dumb
requesting
idea to
James
begin
Corden
with.
not be cast in Wicked the movie gained close to 110,000 signatures, and after friends announced that James Corden would be hosting the TV show's 15-year reunion, he'd received Twitter responses such as, "Don't get me wrong, I've been wanting a Friends reunion since 2004, but if someone told me James Corden would be in it, I'd have told them not to bother." James Corden adding the Friends reunion to the list of things he's ruined with his mere presence.
True,
Initially, after
super
starring as
true.
the main character in the 2019 film Cats, the movie received a
Okay, to be fair, James Corden is not the main character in Cats. He plays Fat Cat. Like, he's not a main character. He's just, once again, a miserable presence, like this miasma of anguish that haunts the film. I mean, it's a bad film without him, but it's a worse film with him. He's not the main character, though. In fact, I can't think of a single movie where he is the main character. He's just always some minor role or even a side character, recurring character, and just his presence brings the whole thing down to a screeching halt. Peter Rabbit. Oh, he voices Peter Rabbit, doesn't he? I haven't watched Peter Rabbit. But yeah, you're right, he does voice Peter Rabbit. Thanks, Resub, Winry, John, and Wolf. Oh, that's super sweet. Well, hey, happy anniversary, Winry. Thanks, Resub, Toaster, Bear, and JD, and Tyson.
2.8 out of 10 star rating on IMDb, as well as reviews so awful that James Corden didn't even end up watching the movie himself. However, James stating that he didn't watch the movie wasn't the only thing that was interesting about this interview, as he'd also discussed another topic which had turned much of his audience against him, his beef with another talk show host, Bill Maher. In September of 2019, Bill Maher published an editorial about obesity, with the contents of such being discussed on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Look, you can't keep eating as much as you want and as shitty a food as you want. You just can't.
That is not something anybody wants to hear, though.
People loved it until James Corden said something.
As mentioned, James Corden wasn't too happy with these comments and would call Bill Maher out by making both some reasonable arguments.
If making fun of fat people made them lose weight, there'd be no fat kids in schools and I'd have a six-pack by now.
As well as some awful ones, such as a zero personal responsibility statement that Bill Maher was simply lucky to have a body that burned more calories than him.
We're not all as lucky as Bill Maher, you know? We don't all have a sense of superiority that burns 35,000 calories a day.
Which Bill interpreted as the easy, low-risk way out of the argument.
He missed a great opportunity to literally save lives. He took the easy way out. Of course, you can always get applause for saying, oh, let's boo the mean man who told the truth. That's not brave.
As is usually the case with these kinds of topics, there were supporters for both sides of the argument. However, James unnecessarily forcing himself into such a divisive conversation where people already disagree with him was probably a net negative toward his reputation, just like the time his carpool karaoke was outed for being fake.
Oh, that was a rough day for all of us.
Drives around singing songs with various famous musicians was called out by a user on Twitter in early 2020 after they noticed Justin Bieber and James Corden in a car, which wasn't being driven but rather being pulled on a trailer. The video would rack up over 14 million views, which prompted an incredibly hilarious response from James Corden himself, in which he would go ahead and debunk the claim that the series had been faked.
95% of the time, I really am endangering the lives of the world's biggest pop stars.
Well, that's
Here is
bullshit.
a list of every carpool karaoke where I've used a tow, and this is a list of every one where I was driving the car, okay?
However, while Corden did a pretty good job of debunking these claims, there are still countless comments on every carpool karaoke from people who never saw the
I still just don't believe him.
videos
Like,
fake.
just straight
This
up.
all feels so fake when you know he's not actually driving. Fake news, James isn't actually driving. James Corden, stop cheating people with your carpool karaoke. Can't believe all these celebrities put up with this fake show. Next time, at least drive the damn car.
Who cares? That's a big who gives a. Oh my God, he's not actually driving. It's ruined. It's ruined. No. It's absolute garbage in the first place. It's boring is the problem. Whether he's driving or not. Unless he is literally driving these celebrities through flaming hoops in a monster truck and then crushing school buses, I don't care. It's a boring show. It's miserable. I don't care if he's driving or being towed. It's just a bad show. It has nothing to do with whether or not he's legitimately driving or not. Monster truck carpool karaoke would go hard as... See, like, that has real merit, right? Like, put the celebrity guests in some legitimate peril and see how they perform. I think that'd be cool. Here's a little free idea. This is something we considered doing a long time ago. I mean, shit, maybe we still will. Probably not, though. We were going to try and do, like, celebrity guests in, like, perilous situations. So, like, operating a tank while they perform or something. We didn't really flesh it out because we realized it was undoable. But, like, that idea is kind of hype. As long as the celebrity's, like, on board, like, knowingly. You can't just catch them off guard with, like, a life-threatening situation. What makes it undoable? Getting the actual shit, like a tank. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's not hard to... I mean, it's not easy to get that kind of shit. We'd have to literally go out to Texas or Las Vegas to do that, and that's just not viable.
It seems like even when James Corden is in the right, his audience selectively decides that he's still in the wrong, which has also been speculated as part of the reason behind his recent announcement that he's leaving the public spotlight. On the 29th of April 2022,
let's go.
James Corden would upload a video to his YouTube channel.
Best thing he's ever done.
James Corden discusses his late night future, in which he'd announced that he'd only be hosting the show for 1 more year.
I've decided to sign for 1 more year on the show, and that this will be my
longest 365 days of television.
In a different interview, James Corden specified that his motive for leaving the entertainment industry was to spend more time with his family.
I don't want to do it forever. We're a really long way away from home, and we're a really long way away from people who are getting older, and we're a really long way from them if something should ever happen, and that plays on my mind a lot.
However, many have speculated that being such a disliked celebrity has put an unbearable amount of pressure on him, which becomes especially obvious when looking at the comments regarding his retirement. James Corden is a talentless bag of garbage. Goodbye, good riddance. Finally, we don't want him anymore. Ruins everything he's involved in. Probably one of the most annoying people in the business, it seems. Please don't come back to the...
Yeah, there's only like 2 people, well 3. There's only 3 people I can think of that have a reputation this dog shit. Like where collectively the majority of people are like, everything you touch is bad. You make everything you're around worse. It's James Corden, Amy Schumer, and Brendan Schaub. Those are the only 3 I can think of. It's like this crazy trio of just misery because they're in so many things and everything they're in is much, much, much worse because of their presence. Ellen only has her show. Ellen only has a show that she ruined. Well, her show is just bad. Like her show is just bad. But those 3 are in a ton of things. Brendan Schaub is on all kinds of podcasts. Brendan Schaub has stand-ups everywhere. So he's in a lot of places. James Corden infests so much shit in media. Same with Amy Schumer. But yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like, Jared Leto's another really good example, but his is mainly just like a movie every year. Like, James Corden at his peak was in like 4 or 5 productions a year. Thanks to the resub. Abrasive, John Silver, Punk Chick, Choking, Wasinde, J, Ledge, Major, Wook, Average, That Boy, and Tier 1 River. God, that'd be crazy, Quill. Putting them all in this, like a single movie. Except Prime Darth and Brewski. Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's in a lot of shit, but I don't think he makes it worse. I think he just chooses absolutely terrible projects to be a part of. I don't dislike Kevin Hart. I dislike the things he's in. He is not the reason those things are bad.
UK, please don't come back to the UK, please don't come back to the UK, with each of these comments being accompanied by flattering articles such as, farewell James Corden, you were an asshole.
What a great, who wrote that? Was that Vice? A nice look at the history of James Corden. Thank you, Sonny. You're endorsing people dehumanizing Corden when his worst crime was being unentertaining. This is gross. You can dislike him without dehumanizing him. What? I'm dehumanizing him by calling him shit? Because he's unentertaining? What? I think you're very confused on the meaning of the word dehumanizing. I hope he lives a very happy and fulfilling life out of the spotlight and never touching another movie again. I don't know if that was bait or not, but that was a terrible take. Actually calling him shit while saying you're not dehumanizing him is priceless. Yeah, he's shit in everything he's in. He's shit, trash, awful, not entertaining. But I wish him nothing but the best outside of movies and television. Take up golf. Spend time with your family. Don't go back to movies. That's not dehumanizing him. I just think he's bad in everything he's in. If you're not dehumanizing him, why do you want him to keep why do you keep wanting him to fight Vegeta? Yeah, true. AI still can't get that one right for some reason. No matter what I do. That one's not even my fault. That's an AI problem, man. I don't know what it is, but they cannot get James Corden and Vegeta in the same picture. That one's not on me. Blame AI. Well, that time they censored it. Run it back. One of the rare times they actually put 2 of them on the same picture, though. Not much of a fight unless it's like an argument.
The desperation for online attention on TikTok is a poison more potent than cyanide, but it doesn't kill you instantly. It's a long, drawn-out, painful, and embarrassing death. And today I want to talk about someone who's got a very severe terminal case of toxic clout goblin. It's a TikTok psychic named Ashley. You might have even heard of her by now because she's made a name for herself in the national headlines. She is a self-proclaimed TikTok clairvoyant who uses her psychic abilities to solve murders. And she recently took on the case of the University of Idaho killer who killed 4 students. The real killer was arrested, however, before Bryan Kohberger, the actual killer being accused here, the main suspect, was taken into custody. Ashley made a long series of videos accusing someone else named Rebecca Schofield of being the killer. It was based on nothing other than tarot card readings and Ashley's own gift of tapping into the universal consciousness. A YouTuber named Detozy recently made a great video covering some of her unhinged videos, but there are so many more. She basically just made a fan fiction about this completely innocent lady named Rebecca and framed her as the killer, and even convinced some brain-rotted individuals on TikTok that she was correct and Rebecca was the real killer. And even though Bryan Kohberger's been taken in with a ton of evidence against him, she is doubling down saying that they got it wrong and that she was right, and that it's the authorities' incompetence that's letting Rebecca get away with it. It's disgusting, really. Like, it's straight up just deplorable. And now Ashley, the psychic superstar, is being sued by Rebecca for all this shit. And rightfully so. She completely deserves to get slapped around in court for this kind of garbage. And I just wanted to go over some of this with you because I truly was blown away by what I was hearing from her. It's a really interesting look into just pure delusion. Ashley really thinks she's like Mob from Mob Psycho, like some kind of crazy, powerful, psychic, like, hero. But in reality, she's just dangerously dumb. And then accusing innocent people of horrible crimes.
TikTok psychic.
I'm sure he'll set the stage, but just in case anyone doesn't know, TikTok investigator made a claim that they found the University of Idaho murderer responsible for the death of those 4 students, and they said it was their professor. And when, asked about evidence, and the evidence they presented was tarot card readings, I believe. So, not the most bulletproof of investigations out there. But who's to go against tarot cards, right? You'd be a fool to bet against the tarot cards. But you know how that story played out? The actual killer was caught, thanks in part to a Reddit post that they made. And now I believe this lady is getting sued.
TikToker by the name of Ashley, she started creating some pretty unhinged TikToks claiming that she knew who was behind all of this. And this is with zero proof, just visions. So disclaimer here.
Hey, and look how far Raven got with those visions. I wouldn't be shitting on that so heavily if I were you. You never know what she might envision next.
Before I begin this Who is Rebecca Schofield series and her motives for the University of Idaho students, let's just dispel the rumors. No, I do not know Rebecca Schofield. I'm not connected to her in any kind of way. I'm not emotionally tied to her or any of the victims. I'm not connected to anyone. I have no reason to lie on her.
But then, you know what? Who am I to chime in so early? She's still going over the process. I'm sorry for the interruption.
I did not just see her picture and name on the University of Idaho history page and then automatically feel it was her. This is not a feeling. This is knowledge. I have no feeling.
Knowledge from where?
I did a reading when I saw Rebecca Schofield on the history department's page on Rebecca Schofield and her connection.
Pardon me, detective. Wasn't one of the first things you said, I didn't just see her on this university page and start accusing her. And then immediately your process is, so I saw her on the university page and I decided to do a reading. Well then, this is quite watertight knowledge we're gathering here. Please continue to cook, I'm sorry.
Rebecca Schofield and Kaylee connected because she needed an advisor. She was about to graduate.
How does she know this?
She wanted advice on personal growth.
It's called fan fiction. Get with the times.
She needed resolution for anything or anyone that was getting in the way of her ability to graduate about her sexuality. During this time
what is that?
Rebecca Schofield.
Oh my god, this is so much longer than I expected. I thought she just did like a single tarot card reading. It's like, look at this. She pulled the murderer card. So that's how I know she's guilty. She's just going through an entirely made-up story of nothing.
Schofield is in a dreamlike state. She's opened up that passion that she has suppressed for women that was now placed on Kaylee.
What?
She's explaining it like it's some random fanfic. There's fanfics written about me that are like have similar
about her desire for her, but also her desire for women and how she suppressed those desires because of tradition and societal viewpoints.
She wanted so badly to write the next 50 Shades of Grey, but wasn't able to actually find success on any of those erotic adult fan fiction sites. So instead she went to TikTok to try and do it, but she's using an actual case of murder. And then accusing a real person of being the murderer.
She said that she was so introspective that she lost her connection to her husband and that she needed to focus on her finding her truth and her.
Speaking of truth, I want to see a little bit more about the lawsuit first. This is far more wild than I expected. I thought for sure this was just going to be a quick cut and dry, hey, tip Fedora, I pulled out my tarot card readings today, and look who turned out to be a murderer. This lady. Case closed. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. But man, she went with like 15-minute audio book of like a girl-on-girl sexual erotica. What was her name? Warlock Holmes. That's pretty good. I like that. Oh, here it is. Professor sues TikToker who accused her in University of Idaho murders. It's a defamation lawsuit. Here, let me just pull it up. I don't know why I'm just going to read it to you like it's story time. Has she not said anything like public? Hold on, let me go to her TikTok. Is she doubling down? How old is this? This is 6 days ago. She's in here. She's still going. Rebecca Schofield, not the murderer, by the way, just a completely random person she did a tarot card reading on. Rebecca Schofield's Alibi, Part 2, Murder of 4 University of Idaho students. This would still be after they caught the real murderer. And she's still going.
It seems to be an impossible task set before me.
Because it is. You did a tarot card reading. It is an impossible task. This is after they caught the murderer, though.
It was fresh, you know, and I laughed at it, didn't take it too seriously. But they keep saying the same thing because they lack creativity, they lack spirit. So they don't have the creative mind to say something different.
You accused an innocent elderly woman of being a murderer. What do you mean creativity and having fun with actual dead college kids and trying to pin it all on just some lady? Oh my god, what the... The lack of remorse.
Different.
The lack of shame.
So wait till I post just to say the same thing over and over. It's demonic, and it should be embarrassing. That's why a lot of them have fake pages. They're embarrassed to do it on their own page.
I will give her something. The lack of shame is refreshing. She's putting her whole face in here, saying it with her whole chest, being blatantly wrong. I appreciate that. That is nice to see. At this point, it's obvious. Rebecca Schofield silenced Kaylee through her ex. She wanted to silence me, so she contacted my ex. She needs like a legitimate psychiatric evaluation. This is like dangerously stupid. Holy shit, this is actually nuts. I thought for sure she'd be like, oh, it looks like I may have been wrong. The tarot cards were off. Like, try and save some face. But she's just doubling down on it.
Wants to be with Kaylee. She had a deep desire for her. It feels like love. Infatuation.
I understand why this Rebecca Schofield person is suing her, because this is just insane.
We're satisfied physically.
No, like actually true. I totally get it.
Imagine you're a professor.
To make sure he had plenty of resources so that he can accurately put the energy in to manifest his dreams and his best life. She said his dreams are worthy of living. He said that he wasn't too old to learn, and that this is like a plot to an anime. Discovered. She then asks,
And then he learned to do the Kamehameha wave. And then he trained on King Kai's planet.
I haven't been sued, so that's why some demand letters you take serious.
Man, it's looking a lot like Christmas over there.
Wrong. But the ones that are used as a scare tactic.
Yeah, that video aged very poorly.
I think that's how y'all want me to feel about a measly ass $75,000 lawsuit that I'm gonna win.
That's such a good filter. I thought it was real at first. That filter gets me every time. I love that filter. Though, I mean, $75,000 lawsuit's not great. Like you don't have to pretend. I know that hurts. That hurts anyone. That's a lot of money. I don't know why we're like posturing here. That shit hurts.
Oh my god. Discovering things about her. Because now everything I find out about her crime she committed of ordering of the 4 University of Idaho students, I have to save it.
You don't have to save it. There's no point in saving it. Just say whatever you have now, because it's going to come out in court anyway. So, oh my goodness.
I really hope this is a public trial.
Because you're really
Holy
sitting
shit,
on so
I need
much
to see
information
that.
from, what, a tarot card reading? Oh my god.
Like, I have physical evidence against Rebecca Schofield that validates everything that I've said about her, but I can't speak on it now because
I would love to see the physical evidence she has to confirm that Rebecca Schofield was trying to get into a romantic relationship with Kaylee and that Rebecca Schofield was struggling with her own internalized lesbianism and all of that wild shit. And then talking about like how she had plans to leave her husband in order to spend the rest of her life with Kaylee and then having to hire an assassin to take her out. I would love to see the physical evidence she had for those claims. Oh, true, the tarot cards. That doesn't lie. That's a good point. I didn't even think about the tarot cards. That is going to be a crucial piece of evidence. She has an alt account, Ashley is God in the Flesh, and she posts there frequently, updated 3 hours ago and said the investigators are wrong and she did the right thing using her gift for right reasons. Oh, yeah, good, there's still more. Ashley is God in the Flesh, huh? That's like a major sin, by the way. She seems to be very religious. To claim that you are God is like a major no-no. It's like she never even read the Bible or knows anything about it for some reason. God smited an entire town for making that golden statue of whatever it was.
Then they took the bait with Brian Kohlberger. Brian Kohlberger he didn't make the smartest decision regarding the murders, but he didn't commit the murders. So the people that they should have been arresting is Rebecca Schofield and Jack DeCour. So stop blaming me for other people's ignorance, incompetence, or negligence. Y'all.
That's amazing. Holy Lord. What in the world? What a load of horseradish. This is fascinating. I also want to keep up with some of the commenters. They know what's up. That's why they issued the gag orders. Not to mention Brian is 100% sure to be exonerated. I want to keep up with every commenter as well and see what happens when it turns out Brian is most likely the murderer. I hope, Rebecca, if you're watching, I hope you will make the trial with Ashley live streamed. That would be one of the most entertaining things because I know Ashley's going to represent herself. Absolutely. She's going to bring the tarot cards. She's going to bring some incense, maybe a Ouija board. 100%. She's going to be like, watch this. I'm going to prove that it's Rebecca. I'm going to communicate with the dead students on my Ouija board. I have no doubt she would. Oh my god. Maybe Ashley does have spiritual powers. Holy Lord. Oh, I'm under a psychic attack. One of my little Warframe figurines fell over. Okay, never mind. Ashley's powerful. I take it back. Holy shit. She's got gifts no mortal was meant to wield. How are you jump scared easily? I'm not at all. I didn't expect an entire Warframe figurine to fall over. What do you mean? That's like the exact opposite of being jump scared easily. It was a loud noise. Could you not hear it on stream? She's got this shungite now. Oh no. Her staff of shungite. She has a whole blog on her website of her solving the case. No way. So she calls herself clairvoyant, saying she's blessed with the ability to access and interpret information from the universal consciousness. Huh. I use my ability to help solve mysteries and see beyond the surface of people, places, and things. Oh, you're right. Yeah, here's an entire blog. Solving the mystery of the murder of the 4 University of Idaho students. She's been tracking this whole thing. This is just horrible. Because it's real people that she's accusing of being the murderers. For a long time, I've mentioned that parents of famous children, whether it be child actors or TikTok stars, YouTubers, whatever, are usually just some of the worst parents on the planet. Just straight up awful. You just hear time and time again about how these parents lead their kids down destructive paths in order to capitalize on their fame. A great example of this is recently from Jeanette McCurdy, who played Sam in iCarly. She released a memoir called I'm Glad My Mom Died, and in it she documents a history of abuse from her mother, as well as Nickelodeon. She talks about some awful shit Nickelodeon did to her, and her mom's response to it was things like, that's just the price of showbiz. You know, you gotta shake it off. This is what it means to be famous. All the girls would love to be in the position you're in. Don't be so ungrateful. Just horrible things. The mom was well aware of everything that Nickelodeon was doing to her daughter and didn't care. In fact, even piled it on by calling her names and doing other horrible shit. So she just sounds like Shao Kahn. And I know a lot of people were upset with the title of the book. It's kind of aggressive. I'm Glad My Mom Died. Not exactly a Dr. Seuss book title. But I think most people would be somewhat relieved when the boogeyman in their life passes, so I understand where the name is coming from after reading some of it. I haven't finished it, but it's really interesting and very sad. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it ties into a topic that I want to talk about today that I just learned about. I'm sure all of you have heard of the name Addison Rae by now. She's one of the biggest stars on TikTok, and she's gotten so famous that it extends well beyond TikTok, so even if you're not big on the platform like me, you still at least know her name. Well, her dad is a weirdo, and he has torn apart their family for the sake of his own clout chasing.
Can I get a
That's someone's father. That's a 46-year-old man posting some fine, distilled, twice folded over, double caked up cringe on Maine. This is Addison Rae's dad. And he, of course, did what every other TikTok parent does. He made his own account. He has like 5.4 million followers. And he threw away his entire family in order to try and make money off of his daughter's name and become famous himself. But not only that, he used his pseudo-celebrity status of being the parent of a famous person to allegedly flirt with 19 and 20-year-olds. He even was having a 5-month affair here with a girl that's less than half his age. He allegedly cheated on his wife multiple times, and they eventually got a divorce. He also has 2 other sons, which I can't imagine how awful this situation must be for the whole family, but them in particular, since they're still super young and obviously in tune with social media, they're seeing all of the unhinged, wild shit their father's doing, and it has to be soul-crushing. I feel so terrible for the entire family, and it's gotten so bad they've sounded the DEFCON alert system. Almost every TikTok influencer in the space has told at least one story about Monty Lopez being creepy to them. They need like a restraining order or something where Monty Lopez can't be within 5 miles of a TikTok influencer because he sniffs this shit out like a goddamn animal. He's got like a spidey sense for it. He just gets this tingle and shows up to every TikTok party imaginable by himself. He doesn't go with Addison Rae or anything. He goes solo, which already is a giant red flag. There's nothing wrong with TikTok stars' parents being involved in their life or even in their videos. Like, Addison Rae made a ton of videos with her mom and dad and brothers, and that's totally fine, wholesome, whatever. But it gets to a point where it's uncomfortable when the dad is just going to all these parties by himself without the actual star of the family there, because now he's got it in his disillusioned, brainwashed mind that he's the star. So he goes there and allegedly hits on the 19 and 20-year-old influencers there, and everyone's uncomfortable. There's a ton of videos of him at these parties, like one where he's handing out roses to some of the girls there. There's a lot of footage that makes it just seem like Bigfoot sightings. They'll like circle in a red circle, like Monty Lopez in the background, like being weird with a TikToker. It's so weird. It's like found footage, you know, but it's not blurry. It's caught in 4K being creepy. He also starts beef with these young women. Like, he started shitting on Tana Mongeau. I'm not going to bring up any of these clips because the clips themselves aren't very entertaining or interesting. It's the story itself that's interesting and sad. So he posted a TikTok saying, do you think Tana Mongeau's more than 300 dudes or less than 300 dudes? To which Tana responds by showing a ton of receipts about him trying to, like, hook up with her or, like, trying to connect with her, as well as telling stories about how unbelievably weird he is to all the other TikTok stars. There's also a video of him FaceTiming a 19-year-old, like, really late at night in the car. It's just very yucky stuff. And this is just another perfect example of how awful a lot of parents are for child stars. Because I think a lot of them, like Monty Lopez, treat their children as props for their own success. So Addison Rae gets super famous. Monty Lopez weasels his way into some of the videos, makes his own social media accounts, which get popular because he's the dad of one of the biggest stars on the platform. And now it's gone to his head. He wiped his ass with his whole family, divorced his wife, and now just tries to young women and try and become a wealthy TikTok star himself. Just another tragic story of a child star whose dad is absolute vile filth. There's nothing that Addison Rae's mother's done that I found that's distasteful or bad or anything like that. I want to make it clear. It's not her whole family, it's just her dad. But the topic itself that I'm focusing on is just how awful a lot of these parents can be. In this case, the parent is Monty. From everything I've seen, Addison Rae's mom hasn't done anything wrong or anything. She seems very wholesome. And in fact, the reason why Monty Lopez wants to fight Young Gravy is because Young Gravy has been very public about wanting to be with Addison Rae's mom, Sherry. And Sherry's even teased back about them going on, like, dates and shit. So Young Gravy might Addison Rae's mom, and it makes Monty Lopez uncomfortable. I don't know the whole lore behind all that, but Monty Lopez sucks. Just another sad case of a shitty parent using their kids to further their own agenda no matter what the cost. Also, big shout out to Monty. I'd like to add one more thing to this. This parasite claims videos that show clips of him embarrassing himself. His whole TikTok page is just his worst moments as a human being displayed. This guy has no self-awareness. Every single video he posts on there is a video that any sane person would want deleted and scrubbed from the internet forever. Yet he proudly posts. And I can't show any of them because he claims the videos where people are insulting him for it. So this absolute insufferable douchebag anus still has the audacity to try and somehow fight for his public reputation despite doing everything possible to sink to the lowest depths of hell to be the giant scumbag. He blows my mind. He's all about, like, the grind and money, so he takes the absolute most revolting approaches to it by copyright claiming videos that use some of his clips to try and take the ad revenue from it or whatever. It's so wild to me. I was reading a bit about it, and just when I thought he couldn't get any worse, I learned that he was copyright claiming shit. A YouTuber named Dumpy even mentioned that he had to pitch up some of the videos because Monty kept claiming it. It's silly. This guy is just an absolute massive clown, and I feel so sorry for his entire family. I can't imagine he was a great father growing up, and he's only getting worse. Of course, I'm making a giant assumption. Maybe he was a fine father figure who got corrupted once his family or once his daughter got famous. I couldn't tell you, but this guy sucks. He's weird, creepy, and what he's done to his family is unforgivable. That's really about it. So yeah. I've said for a long time that parents of child superstars are often very weird or just downright evil. And today I'm going to show you a man that's a combination of both, but Professor Utonium accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction, chemical cringe, and created the worst dad in TikTok and YouTube history, Monty Lopez. I made a whole video about this guy a month ago. He's the dad of Addison Rae, one of the biggest TikTok stars in the world, and he has used his daughter like a goddamn piggy bank that he taps into for clout. This guy lives vicariously through his daughter's success, and he has thrown away his entire family in order to ride on the fart fumes of her fame. So, Monty Lopez has been going to like TikToker parties, even without Addison Rae being there, just going solo and hitting on some of the TikTok stars there, as well as even handing out roses to some of them. He'll FaceTime 19-year-olds at like 3 a.m. sometimes, and it's just become a very well-known thing that Monty Lopez is a creep. And he's doubled down on this. He cheated on his wife. He had a mistress who was less than half his age. He's 46 years old, but I think he has the brain of a 16-year-old boy. It is pathetic, and it just keeps getting worse. So yesterday, well, 2 days ago now, he posted a diss track on Yung Gravy. Yung Gravy is a very large artist now who's been really popping off recently, and even was hooking up with Addison Rae's mom, Monty Lopez's ex-wife. So that made Micropenis Monty very upset, and the two had beef, but it was very one-sided because no one really gives a about Monty Lopez. He's just like this little pest that kind of flies around. He's like a goofy side character in a filler episode of Naruto that no one remembers, but then when he does appear, people kind of laugh at. But anyway, Monty Lopez made this diss track on Yung Gravy, and I just wanted to show you a little bit of it and talk about it because this is really something special. I bet you've never seen Windows Movie Maker intros that beautiful. This guy unironically just started his music video with the Star Wars opening text crawl. That's wild. A classic. And I would argue Monty Lopez's music video here is on par with the latest 3 Disney Star Wars movies, to be honest. Like, they're pretty close in quality. I love this, though, because it immediately sets the tone for the rest of the video. It's setting you up for an absolute masterpiece. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, somehow Monty Lopez returned with a banger, a fire diss track.
Hey, look, Gravy, this is for you, bro. You and them hoes. I'm a villain in the villa. I stole your bitches. That new gen fame, I could help you make a living.
This just screams midlife crisis and insecurity. I also think it's a giant self-report on loneliness here. I always find it to just be a huge tell that you get no pussy when, for your diss track, you hire women to be around you and pretend like they're somewhat having fun near you. For a normal music video, I get it, but for a diss track directed at someone, it just shows you're trying way too hard to be something that you're not. Like, this just isn't the flex you think it is here, Monty. This just makes me feel like you have been absolutely destroyed since the divorce with your wife, which you caused, by the way. And now you're just really trying every way of presenting yourself as not being lonely, which I do get the impression you are, especially since most of the 19-year-olds that you were talking to don't talk to you anymore. But anyway, I want to give a little special shout out to all of the dancers in this video here. It can't be easy to do this. To make it through the filming of this without puking has to be an incredibly difficult task, because they have to listen to this song on repeat 100 times. That's enough to drive even the most sane individual to complete lunacy. And they had to be around Monty Lopez for however many hours it took to film this pile of shit, and that just sounds downright dangerous.
In the studio with your girl, she a fan. You just stuck at home with your dick in your hands.
Just a heads up, that Windows notification you heard during the song was my computer. It wasn't in the song. It happened when I was recording it, and I just did not feel like subjecting myself to this torture twice, so I didn't re-record it. But anyway, I want to focus on this line here. In the studio with your girl, she's a fan, while you're stuck at home with your dick in your hand. Monty, what is she a fan of? You don't do anything. Legitimately, the only thing you've ever done is give birth to a TikTok superstar, and her fame you had no role in whatsoever. Monty, you don't do anything. There's nothing to be a fan of, unless he just happens to be into 46-year-old washed-up losers. The delusion here is just crazy. I feel like this song was ghost-written for him. I don't think Monty even has the ability to have produced lines even this amateurish. And I feel like the ghostwriter didn't know who it was for, because this line just doesn't work. There is no such thing as a Monty Lopez fan. You genuinely, and I'm not even just trying to be mean, you don't do anything. All of your TikToks are you just like standing there. Like, you don't even dance half the time. You actually do nothing. You exist.
Step into the ring and put your head on a swivel. I make you girls' ass go jiggle, jiggle. Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Yeah, I like jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. I done made your girl's ass go jiggle, jiggle. Jiggle, jiggle. jiggle, jiggle.
Welcome to basically the rest of the song. He just keeps saying jiggle, jiggle over and over again. So maybe this truly was written by Monty Lopez and his brain finally stopped functioning there towards the end and just started like record skipping on jiggle. So he just kept writing it down and then just that's where it ended. For the next 45 seconds, it's basically just him saying jiggle, jiggle over and over and over again as the models he paid just shake their ass near him and he spanks them. And I bet that wasn't even in their contract. That was probably Monty Lopez method acting, you know, just improvising. There was probably like a no touching clause which he violated and needed to pay them like quadruple to make up for after the filming. But yeah, I just wanted to share this because it's yet another really sad endeavor from Monty. I feel so bad for his family having to see shit like this from their dad, or Sherry having to see this from her ex-husband. Like, goddamn, that is gotta be miserable. But yeah, anyway, just that's about it. So yeah. The insatiable appetite for internet affirmation that not only do you exist, but that you're special, drives people to do some wacky things. And one of the worst ways of getting this craved attention is through being a douchebag. And that's what I want to show you today. A young man so blinded by his low vitamin C levels, vitamin Clout, and in his desperate attempt to get this clout, decided to make an absolute fool out of himself on TikTok and ended up being its punching bag for about 24 hours because his whole idea was to just be an asshole.
Post Malone, you a bitch. You suck.
That's rude.
Thank you so much. You a bitch. You a bitch. Post Malone suck.
What you just witnessed is one of TikTok's biggest and toughest men. A man who's feared even at the salty spittoon. What a absolute Chad. Going to Post Malone's fan signing where Post Malone was just meeting with fans, signing their things, talking with them, and this guy marches all up, puffs out his chest, and just starts being an asshole. That's the entire piece of content. And you can tell that this guy's not insecure because the second he started being rude to Post Malone, he immediately ran away. So you know he's not afraid of anything. This guy wakes up every morning and drinks a glass of rusty nails. He's so tough. So yeah, Post Malone got drive-by heckled by a rejected Jonas brother who's desperately trying to get any amount of internet points that he can get. And I just find the whole situation super sad. Not just for Post Malone, but for this guy as well. Because this is just such an embarrassing thing that I think any level of self-awareness will have him regretting immensely at this moment, I would hope. But Post Malone, even if you don't like his music, you have to recognize he is one of like the most authentic and genuinely kind people in the music industry. I like Post Malone's music, but I recognize not everyone will. But even if you don't, like every interview I've ever seen from him, all of his Twitch streams, because he streams on Twitch, or at least he used to stream pretty actively on Twitch, every interaction I've ever seen from him just portrays a really kind person. So to go out of your way to be mean to someone like that takes a special kind of delusional douchebag. And even in the video here, you can see him smiling and talking to fans. He smiles at the guy who's about to be rude to him. And when he gets insulted, he just looks like actually hurt. He's just like, that was rude. And then he just keeps piling it on. Like, I don't know how you don't feel bad after the first time, but he doubles down on the douchery and continues to insult him. And he's just, you know, Post Malone's like, that's just rude. Why would you say that? Like, it's so, like, rough to watch. Now, I don't know much about this kid, but he looks pretty young. I'm sure he's still suckling off his parents' finances like a parasite in order to pay for his trips to the hair salon every 2 weeks in order to match whatever the most trendy TikTok hairstyle is. But I really think he should have saved some of his allowance for a better phone. Instead of just blowing it on White Claw, he probably should have just saved up for a phone that would record in something beyond 140p. This video looks like it's straight from 2009. I don't even know how you have video quality this dog shit, this turbo ass in 2022. You have to be extremely incompetent in order to make your phone look this shitty in this day and age. Now, the whole goal with this stunt was to go viral, and it did. Mission accomplished. It got over 6 million views and is still getting views. But I guess he just wasn't really ready for that because he ended up going in full baby meltdown mode and took down the video and made a really embarrassing post about how it wasn't actually him in the video, it was his friend. Now, is it possible that it's actually not him? Sure, I suppose. There's some universe out there in the multiverse where that happens to be the truth, but I don't think that's where we're at right now. I think in this reality, he's just using the lamest and oldest excuse in the book. This is like that textbook cringy shit we used to do growing up, where if you send a text message to a girl and you regret it or she doesn't respond, you're like, oh, God, I'm so sorry. That was my friend that sent that. Oh, but stupid friend. I don't know why he'd say that. I'm not weird. My friend did that. Don't get mad at me. Not exactly a watertight response here, and I would have expected someone that puts up this persona of, I'm so tough and, you know, I'm such a badass, I'll go insult anyone on the street. I would have expected them to just, like, embrace the villain role, but it seems like they're just not built for that. They immediately just fold and just crumple in on themselves here, which of course makes it even more embarrassing for them. But I want to use this as, like, a little example of the drive to make a viral video where you just throw away common sense in the pursuit of numbers. This guy knew that this would get some attention, and he probably knew there would be some level of hate that came with it where people would get upset about it, but he clearly wasn't ready for the full response he got. He was just so blinded by the pursuit of internet clout that he made a dumb decision and made himself look like a complete asshole on the internet, and that'll follow him around forever if he continues to try and be a TikTok star. So yeah, anyway, just wanted to go over this just a little bit, and that's about it. So yeah. People don't always see eye to eye with each other. Everyone has their own set of opinions and beliefs, and historically, humans have fought each other over this difference. Now, while we may be divided by land or belief, there's one thing that unites all of us, something buried deep inside the human DNA that makes us all on the same page, and that's our extreme dislike for Amy Schumer. God bless. Amy Schumer is like the common evil that unites the world. It's like in that anime Code Geass, where Lelouch becomes the ultimate evil that the entire world rallies against, and then by the end of it, it brings everyone closer together. That's Amy Schumer, but in reality. Whenever she's present at like an award show or something, the entire internet, nay, the entire human race gets together and says, we just don't like her. She reminds us that we're not so different from each other after all. So why am I talking about Amy Schumer today? Well, it's because she was at the Oscars recently and decided to make the entire thing about her, about how she's now traumatized because of the Will Smith slap on Chris Rock. And I'm sure a lot of you are tired of hearing about this, but she just keeps going. And it's making me sick to my stomach. It makes me want to puke and shit. This is, of course, a very stupid statement and just performative to put her name back in the news about how now she's a victim somehow. I don't think there's any world where Amy Schumer is right now sleeping with one eye open, just fearful that Will Smith, the boogeyman, is going to rappel through her window and slap her while she's asleep. But I'm going to set aside this stupid statement for a minute to talk about what really got my ass all grinded up, which is what she came forward with today. She bravely stepped foot in the Thunderdome today to reveal the jokes that were too edgy for TV. Her side-splitting comedy that was just too intense, and she had to cut them from her monologue. Just like Voldemort's name, she wasn't allowed to speak of these things, but she decided to tell one of these super stinkers anyway, which is horrible news for anyone with ears. Don't Look Up is the name of a movie? More like Don't Look Down, the barrel of Alec Baldwin's shotgun. It's incredible how she can't even accidentally almost say something entertaining. And this probably isn't even her own joke. She has a history of stealing jokes. She probably just saw this shit on Twitter and it had like 100 likes, so she said it's mine now. And it's still stupid. None of it makes sense. Alec Baldwin wasn't even in Don't Look Up. The joke doesn't work. I don't care that it's edgy. Edgy jokes are fine. It's just this is so poorly done from top to bottom. Alec Baldwin is not in that movie, so it doesn't even make sense. It'd be like me saying Moonfall, more like Poonfall, because Amy Schumer's talking about her vagina again. It's just dog shit. Sex in the City, more like Amy, stop having sex with the whole city. We're tired of seeing you on stage. Or He-Man, more like help me, man. I just had to listen to Amy Schumer tell another awful joke and now I'm in need of medical assistance. I don't know why she would think it's a good idea to tell this joke after everyone told her not to tell it in the first place. They gave her a gift of shutting her up. Like, she didn't have to tell this joke. They were like, we're not allowing you to say it. We're putting the kibosh on it now. We're doing you a favor. and then she slaps them and all of us by telling this joke anyway. This whole situation is like if Amy and her friend were on like a walk and they approached this cliff and Amy didn't see it, but her friend did, so her friend reaches out to stop her from falling off the cliff, literally saving her life. But then Amy Schumer just blasts her hand away saying, "Don't tell me what to do, I'll walk where I want to walk," and then throws herself off the cliff. She then gave us a sneak peek at some other gut busters we missed from her here, some more of her comedic stylings. She said that she was also going to take aim at Joe Rogan and James Franco, but wasn't allowed to say any of that, but you can just come up and slap someone. That statement doesn't even make sense either, Amy. No one invited Will Smith to go up there and slap the shit out of Chris Rock. The man went up there and slapped the taste out of his mouth off script. The man had a full-blown Winter Soldier episode. It wasn't planned. You had a script that you were getting approved and everyone said these jokes just suck, don't tell them. It's not the same. She's always so incredibly desperate to put herself at the center of everything that ever happens, even when it doesn't make sense or even involve her in the slightest. She had a golden opportunity just to say nothing and everyone would have forgotten her miserable presence at the Oscars, but she just had to tell this awful joke and remind everyone why she was universally disliked as one of the worst comedians of our time. The only reason she ever even made it into the industry in the first place is because of getting a lucky spawn in life. She was born into a really rich and powerful family, and through leveraging those connections, she was able to make it to the big time. And it's one of the saddest stories in all of entertainment. But anyway, back to how traumatized Amy Schumer was from the slap. She said she's gonna need some time off to process it, and I think I speak for everyone in the world when I say, Amy, you take as much time as you need. If it's years, if it's forever even, goddammit, you take that time until you feel better about what happened. We will all understand. No matter how long it takes. No, it should take a very long time to recover from something like that. So, wishing you the best in that road to overcoming that experience at the Oscars, having to watch that, and yeah, that's about it. See ya. What's up everybody, it's Critical. For a long time I've been confused on how to properly masturbate, until I came across this video. This pasture demonstrates the correct way of jerking off, and the only way that's approved by God. So let's go ahead and watch this together so that way you too can learn the right techniques. I should mention before we begin that he will be using an arrow to substitute for his penis. He doesn't actually whip his cock out for this. However, you can see him after the service for a more hands-on demonstration. I like the way he looks in this right here. He looks like a caveman that first discovered fire and he's trying to show his friends but none of them believe him. I don't understand why he has a bow and arrow at church. I guess that's just standard procedure for some places, but let's just get right into this shit.
Of course it hurts. Of course it's fire. Of course it's pain. Of course it's that's hot. God, just shut up. I can handle it. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Oh, God, that hurts. Oh, God, I'm so tired. Oh, God, I didn't want to lose her. Oh, God, I didn't want to have that pain. Oh, God, no.
Look familiar? It certainly does to Mark Cuban in the back left over there. He's paying real close attention to this like he's about to perform open heart surgery, analyzing every detail here, every stroke. He's really taking it all in. Now what this fine gentleman has just shown us is the standard protocol for meat beating. He's really illustrated it beautifully here and really captured the essence of choking the chicken. It's as if we're actually watching him masturbate here. From the wounded dog sounding shit to the come down. It's amazing what he's done here.
God, you love me so much, don't you? Yes. Oh, God, thank you for what you're making me. You're welcome. Oh, God. I see an opportunity. Yeah, so do I. Oh, God, I see a beautiful wife.
Now this is how you're supposed to do it, nice and slow, make it real and intimate. It's supposed to be a personal experience between you and God, so make it that way, you troglodytes. Don't make it some quick, spit and shit, strum and cum routine. Treat your dick like it's the last Cheeto Puff on earth and you're starving. You just gonna scarf down that Cheeto Puff right then and there? No. You're gonna savor it. You're gonna take your time with it. Your dick should be treated no differently.
Yeah? I never dreamed of her! A lot of things you never dreamed of, son. Lots of things you never dreamed of. Oh, you think I could marry her? She's very, very polished. You better get her more polished, son. Hey, God! The little children, I hold my arms. Oh, it's sweetest thing in the whole world. Oh, I'm so honored to be their daddy. Yeah. Now you remember who owns them.
This reminds me of a really old Whitest Kids You Know sketch, The Slow Jerker. It was about how uncomfortable it is to do fake masturbation slowly. It's comical when you do it fast, but when you do it slow, it just makes everyone uncomfortable. But I do respect this man's bravery to go up here and do it nice and slow. The way he does it in his bedroom is the way he's doing it right here and right now. I also really agree with the message he's sending here. The only time you can really talk to God is when you're playing with your wiener. It's the only way. It's like your penis is a walkie-talkie right to God's frequency, and the only way to keep holding down the button is to be playing with your cock. It's the only way. And I've always known that. That's why when I masturbate, I like to talk to God too. I even have a pre-masturbation grace I like to say as if it's Thanksgiving, and it goes, "Dear Lord, dear God, with one hand on my rod, with this porn on my screen, my dick soon spit cream. It's the duty of my wiener. I'll be baptized in these titties and I'll come out cleaner. Amen."
Make sure they serve me. That's why I gave them to you, son. Oh, God. I see a pulpit. I see a pulpit. God says, Not done working on you, son. You think I stand here before you tonight sorry that I yielded to God?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I have no idea what he was talking about during that. I could hardly hear him. He was just getting way too into the zone and whispering, but at least he brought the attention back to the audience and is now pointing at them. This is your fault. You touch your penises, so now I have to come up here and show you how it's done. The right way to do it. This is all on you. You brought this upon yourself. You heathens.
You think I stand here tonight with these, my trusted men, sorry that I yielded? You think I'm regretting that I yielded to God? You think I'm sorry when I see this crowd here tonight? No. Oh, God, keep polishing. Keep polishing, keep polishing, keep polishing.
And that concludes tonight's service. Make sure you put some bills into the pass-around tray thing. And thank you all for attending. I hope you've all learned something here today. Yeah, that's it. See ya.